Hello, you beautiful people. My name is Luke, and today I'm going to be talking about three of my fantasy teams. So I'm just going to go over like one's a 20 team, one's a 12 team, and one is an 8 team. I'm just going to do this continuous, no cuts, so you guys can see all of the players I have. I'm going to talk about my thought process with each of them, who I'm trying to trade, who I'm looking to get for them, and overall just sort of go along how my fantasy seasons have been going. One of them is like my primary league that I spend the majority of my time in. That's the 8-team league. But we'll still go ahead and get started. This is my 20-team league team. So as you can see, Team Lou Dort, always got to show mad respect to my boy. Oh shit, I almost forgot. Don't forget to drop a like and subscribe if you're new. Of course, got to throw that in there at the start of every video, but whatever. First up, the waivers, if you're in a 20 team, you know what I'm talking about. The waivers are so dry, man. It's really bad. You're picking up absolute scrubs hoping to get like 20 points out of them. So the main reason I have Isaiah Thomas still on my roster, even though he has been waived, is because I was pretty confident I was going to win my matchup this week. As you can see, I was up like a shit ton of points against my boy I Like Lizzo's. Shout out Gideon. But yeah, so Isaiah Thomas will definitely be getting moved. I'll go ahead and show you guys the waivers after I'm done showing you the team here, just sort of look at any potential prospects. Then we got Tyler Hero, who I drafted. I'll show you guys where I drafted them all too. I drafted him around 93rd, which was maybe a little early from the production that we're seeing of him already, but I sort of made up with my next pick, which was Desmond Bain. And I should mention that we did this draft after the season had already started. It had been a few games, I forget how many exactly, but I got Bain at 188th, and he's given me like the production that Hero hasn't really been providing. Then we got Julius Randle. And you might be wondering like how I got Julius Randle, because my team is pretty solid for a 20 team, I can't lie, and I actually traded for him. So the trade I made was I traded Tatum for him and Rashawn Holmes, and that trade has not been panning out for me right now, I can't lie, but I am pretty confident in the fact that it will long term, just because like I mentioned, the waivers on a 20 team are so garbage and my team depth isn't great, so I was just trying to do anything I could to boost that. And I did have to say goodbye to Tatum, which hurt as a Celtics fan, and especially for fantasy. I do have him ranked inside of my top 10, but I am confident that the production I'm getting from Holmes and Randall will like overshadow what I would get from Tatum and a waiver player. Then next up, Rudy Gobert, one of my favorite fantasy players, very solid. I got him kind of late, I believe. Yeah, I got him 28th, which I was very happy about. I was not expecting to get him at that range. He wasn't even someone I was anticipating drafting, but I talked about him yesterday in my rankings video. Very solid all-around player. The blocks, the rebounds, the scoring. Then my boy Jalen Brunson. If you've been familiar with the channel for a while, you know how much I love Jalen Brunson. Drafted him 133rd. He's been very solid. Can't complain there. Just a steady, consistent player. Terrence Mann. They're currently playing the Nuggets right now. I'm not watching that at the moment, but his average goes up a lot when Paul George misses time. But even when Paul George has been in the lineup, he's sort of been up and down. But so far, he's been on a pretty solid streak recently, as you can see here from the recent game log. And I drafted him 148th, which was definitely too early, but for some reason, something about Terrence Mann, I was like, I want to draft him in this 20 team, and I was like, fuck it, so whatever. Then we got Nikola Vucevic, and I got him when he was like playing like garbage, not before he went on this hot streak. I traded for him when he was like playing like poop, averaging like 34 fantasy points per game. And it is a pretty trash trade. I don't know how it went through, but I traded Jeremy Grant and Eric Gordon. And honestly, you could have made the case that I was losing that in a 20 team. Like I said, the waivers are garbage. Jeremy Grant and Eric Gordon were both averaging more than Vucevic for like the next 15 days after I made the trade. But then Grant went down, so that was just pure stroke of luck, I guess. And it remains to be seen how it's going to look long term. I personally don't think it was that big of a win. I feel like Eric Gordon's fantasy value is getting overlooked. But yeah, he was drafted 16th, and it's just really shitty that that's the return you got for him. But I am still happy with the trade. I would make it 10 times out of 10. So yeah, Vucevic, he's helping my team a lot. I expect his numbers to go up, like I mentioned yesterday. Then we got Rashawn Holmes, who just been coming back from an eye injury. My man needs some goggles or something, because he has just been missing so many games with an eye injury. I'm not too worried about it. As you can see, his minutes are really low. It's just working his way back from the injury. Nothing to really be too concerned about. And then Jordan Nwora, I got to move. He is someone, like I mentioned, we've just been having some very solid outputs this week. I'm pretty confident we're going to win. And I probably should have tried to sell high on him, but I just haven't been as active in this league as I should have been. But yeah, he didn't even play against Boston. I don't know if there was an injury or not. Haven't been any news regarding that. So if he is just completely out of the rotation while all the Bucks are healthy, definitely someone I'm going to have to look at dropping and replacing, but remains to be seen. Maybe I'll wait another game or two and see what's going on. Then we got Reggie Jackson out in the protocols right now. Drafted him too early. Drafted him 108th. He's averaging like 26.8. At the time of the draft, he was averaging around 30, so he has been on the decline. He's just been inconsistent, as always. Definitely regretting that pick, but what can you do? Royce O'Neal, though, very solid pickup in my opinion. He's just been pretty consistent. In this 20 team, I was just looking for guys that are going to give me like 20 points per game on average at the very least. And I got him 173rd, so no complaints there with Royce O'Neal. Marcus Morris, he's someone I got off waivers, surprisingly, at the time that he was hurt. I felt like it was worth picking him up. So got Marcus Morris. He's been very solid for a 20 team. He is out with the protocols as well, but as you can see it by his recent game log, he has been putting in some decent production for a 20 team. And then finally on my IR, I got Spinny P. And I did take a bit of a chance drafting him. I took him pretty high as it was while he was injured, but I took him 53rd, and I was pretty confident that he had top 40 value as he was dealing with like a shoulder injury or whatever. And I was like, when he gets back into the lineup, people are slightly underrating what he brings to a fantasy team, so I was comfortable taking him there. But yeah, as you can see, this is my team. We are getting a bit railed with the protocols, but not too badly. I'll show you my next team. I'm going to show you my A team. Man, that is something to witness. But it's just Reggie Jackson, Marcus Morris, and Pascal missing right now. So overall, I'm pretty happy with this team. I got to move IT and Nwora, but other than that, can't complain. I'm 3-2 in this league. The injuries have been bad, but it's whatever. I'm confident in my team, and I think we're going to bounce back. But now we'll get into my team. This is the league that I take the most seriously. It's with a couple of buddies of mine. It's an 8-team league, I should mention, and I just took an L, even though I'm first in the league and this guy is in last. But let me show you the roster we're working with right now. So as you can see, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 guys out right now. And Zach LaVine just came back today. I was missing him for the week, and I probably could have won this matchup if I'd streamed, but I just sort of gave up when I was missing like 10 players. I thought it was over, no chance I was going to win. So I didn't really bother streaming, and I wasted a game yesterday where I kept Nwora on because I just wasn't paying attention. It was Christmas. I was like, whatever, I've lost this week. And that was a big mistake. I was working on my rankings video. I got distracted, and it cost me a matchup. But at the end of the day, I'm 8-1. Nobody in my standings is even really close. I'll just go ahead and show you really quickly. Pretty confident I'm going to make the playoffs, so I mean, it's whatever. 8-1. Next team 7-2, but my team is a lot better. I've had the most total points every single week that my team's been healthy, so not too much cause for concern. But we'll just go ahead and talk about my team just a little bit. So we got De'Aaron Fox, played like shit tonight. Really, if he'd played well, I honestly would have won. So it's kind of pain. But he just got back from the protocol, so I don't want to look too heavy into this performance. He was starting to show some more consistency before he went down. He had a few 50-point games, which was nice to see, and I drafted him 17th. But a lot of these draft positions are kind of messed up because we did our draft offline, and then when I was inputting the results, all the draft orders got fucked. So not all of these are entirely accurate, so I'm going to guess roughly where I took him. But I think that one is right. I did draft De'Aaron Fox around 16th or 17th. And then Karis LeVert on an 8 team. I got him off waivers, man. This guy in my league, whenever he drops someone, they just go off like the very next day. So he dropped LeVert when he was back here when he was averaging like 25 fantasy points per game or something. And I was like, you know what? I do think LeVert belongs on a roster. I was willing to take a shot on him. And then I think I picked him up here actually at the 11-point game. And then as you can see, his recent game log, he's just been going nuts. He's had a few inconsistencies where he's had games where he's put up like the 21 fantasy points and 25. But he's definitely counterbalanced those. So as you can see, he had 53 fantasy points tonight against Chicago, 62 against Houston. And overall, I do believe he is must roster in an 8 team. Just as you can see, he's capable of having these performances. And I'm very happy I got him off waivers. I couldn't believe it when he was dropped. And he's definitely paying dividends for the pickup. Then we got Zach LaVine. I'm pretty confident with Zach LaVine. I drafted him around 32nd, I believe. Yeah, so this one's correct as well. And I mean, I talked about him yesterday. Nothing to say. I have him ranked inside my top 25. Very content that I got him at 32. That's where he was like in my initial drafting plan. I was hoping to take him and Jaylen Brown. I think because I had the first pick, so I was drafting like 31st and 32nd, or maybe it was 32nd and 33rd. So getting Zach LaVine, I was very happy about at the start of the season, and he got added to the small forward position, so he can cover that spot on my team, which is a position that I was lacking. But yeah, very solid. I'm not looking to trade Zach LaVine at all. He's just been too consistent. I love watching him play too, which is just an added bonus when you have like a fantasy team that is just for fun. This is a cash league. We did buy in, but it's nothing crazy because I usually win this league, so nobody wanted to put too much money in. Then we got Nikola Jokic. I mean, I had the first pick, of course. No surprises here. Don't even really need to talk about him. Two back-to-back 2020 games. Can we give this man the MVP recognition, man? Like, I don't want to say he's number one right now, but I honestly have him at the very worst. He's second to me personally. I know their record isn't the best, but I mean, look at their roster outside of Jokic, bro. It's literally a G League team. I talked about this yesterday. Like, my man's is in the MVP discussion, and for fantasy, he's finishing as the best player. I don't even care. I'm so confident in that. I'm no cause for concern at all. And it's kind of paining me just seeing how close this matchup really was, even though I was missing like 10 players, but whatever. DeJounte Murray, him going down to the protocols, that also sold me today. I was really counting on him to perform, and he's just going to miss some time. But outside of that, I had him ranked inside the top 5. I'm not worried. And instead of Jaylen Brown, because he was drafted earlier, he was the guy I actually got 33rd. So it definitely paid off in the long run. I thought DeJounte Murray was going to be gone by 33rd when I was making my initial drafting strategy. But when he was still there, I was like, oh man, I got to take him. Like, that's a steal. So yeah, very happy with that pickup. And then, of course, the man, the myth, the legend, Domantas Sabonis, man. Come on. I talk about him every video. Him and Lou Dort, bro. You already know what I got to say about them. Love his performances for fantasy. Yeah, he has a few meh games, but they're so far and few in between. Nothing to be concerned about. One of my favorite fantasy players. I'm not going to go into it because, I mean, if you're new to the channel, you can just watch any of the videos, and I go off on like a tangent about him, so I'll spare you the time. Jonas Valanciunas, unfortunately, he was out with an injury as well. Just an illness, not a Rona related. I still am not sure if I can actually say that word or if I'll get demonetized, so that's why I always say the Rona or health and safety protocols. But yeah, as you can see, very solid, consistent player, similar to Sabonis in terms of the rebounding rate, the high scoring. I mean, he doesn't have the assist that Sabonis has, but overall, very solid player. And then Mo Bamba, who is someone that I have been looking at maybe dropping. I've tried offering him in some 2-for-1 trades, but I haven't been getting any biters. So it just really depends on the waiver wire, which I can go ahead and show you afterwards. I'll show you the 20-team waivers as well, just so you guys can see the pain of being in a 20-team. I just wanted to make this video a bit quicker because videos have been taking a long-ass time recently, so that's why there's no cuts or anything as well. But yeah, he was dealing with an ankle injury, and then he went into the protocols. But he has been a solid enough performer for me to hesitate about dropping him. His roster percentage is way down. But for me personally, I'm first in my league, so I am going to hold him for now, just sort of see what goes on. And then Saddiq Bey, he's just a streamer. I just picked him up because, you know, as you can see, I got 2 guys filling my filling my IR spots. I know it says we have 3 IR spots, but we agreed at the start of the season to only use 2, and you can't decrease them after the season starts, and I forgot to do that, so I know it says there's 3, but there's actually only 2 for now. That's just something we agreed upon since we all know each other. But yeah, next up, Terry Rozier. Very solid player. I mean, after he got back from the health and safety protocols, he's been struggling with finding his consistency, but it affects every player in different ways, so I'm not too concerned about it. I do think his production will start to increase. And I should mention when Kyrie and Jeremy Grant come back, the 2 players I will be dropping will probably be Mo Bamba and Saddiq Bey. Hope nobody in my league's watching this, but they definitely will be, so they'll know when I start throwing in some trades. This is the problem with making these videos, is I just shoot myself in the foot in my own league because nobody trades with me or anything. But it's whatever, got to help you guys out. Draymond Green has been on a nice little stretch recently the last 3 games. Scoring numbers are up, which is funny to say because he's only averaging like 10.7 points per game. But it's mainly the assists, the steals, the blocks. You'll love what he can do. He just fills the stat sheet. And I got him very late because I got him like 81st, and I think that is accurate to where I actually drafted him. And I know that sounds like a meme kind of league place to get him, but hear me out. So we just transitioned from our old default settings to like the ESPN default settings this year. And in our old settings, Draymond Green was pretty shit because steals and blocks weren't valued as highly, as well as assists. So everyone was a bit weary about taking him because they didn't know how he would translate in these settings. But I mean, I've been playing with the default settings in other leagues, so obviously I wasn't too concerned. And yeah, I had the first pick, so like there was quite a big gap between picks. So when he fell to me at 81st, I was like, what are we doing here? Like, I absolutely have to take him. So that was a steal, and he's just been very solid and consistent so far this season. And then, I mean, if you're in a similar position to me where you got De'Aaron Fox and then this dude on your team, Bradley Beal, it's just been painful. So there is a recent report, and I don't want to cause too much panic in some of you, but there is a report, or it's not a report, it is true that the Washington Wizards arena is not allowing unvaccinated fans to enter at all, and I don't know how that's going to apply to players, if that means that they're going to force Bradley Beal to get vaccinated or if he's not going to be able to play in any of their home games. So I am actively trying to ship him out in my league right now, and I'm shooting myself in the foot if any of them watch this because then they will not give me anything for Bradley Beal. So I'm not afraid of offering him in some 2-for-1 trades that I might lose if Beal can play. But right now, I just don't want to risk the fact that he might miss all of his home games. It's just a huge risk for me right now, and it really could hurt my fantasy team, especially since I care a lot about this league. This is where I spend most of my time focusing on. So if I was you, I would definitely try to trade Bradley Beal if they're not aware of the news regarding the Washington Wizards arena. Maybe if you weren't aware, hopefully this helps you guys out. There's a report in the Discord. If you join that through the link in the description, you can check it out for yourself. But yeah, that's just something that could really hurt my fantasy team. He was just starting to pick up his production. And I mean, I'm not going to estimate or guess whether he's going to get vaxxed or not because I just have no idea, honestly. None of us do. That's him. And then as you can see, I traded for him at the start of the year for Anthony Edwards. He was drafted 8th, and I think I drafted Edwards around... Where did I draft Edwards? Like 40th maybe? Something like that. Maybe 50th. Probably around the 50s. So that was a really good pickup. And do I regret that trade? slightly. I will definitely regret it if this news comes out to be confirmed and he can't play home games. But for now, I still am not the biggest fan. Then D'Angelo Russell. Man, I'm telling you, some dudes in my league are clowns. I got him off fucking waivers. Can you believe that? Like, what are we doing? They dropped him. Everybody knows he was shithouse at the start of the season. Shout out Josh Lloyd for that. I love saying shithouse now. But he's been very consistent ever since I picked him up. And if you had D'Lo on fantasy last year, I know how much pain he caused you. I also had him, and I traded him. He just was very inconsistent for like the past few years for fantasy. He was getting hurt a ton, wasn't really putting up efficient numbers. But his scoring's seen a rise in terms of efficiency. His assist numbers have been up. And so far, he's been a pretty consistent 35 piece. And I do expect that to maintain itself for this year. But yeah, he was just placed in the protocols as well. So as you can see, they're just completely railing my team, which cost me an L this week. But it's whatever. I'm sure I'll bounce back as soon as everyone's back healthy. And then Jeremy Grant, not too much to say there. 6 weeks after the tore, whatever, UCL in his right thumb. Whatever that means, just waiting on him to get back. He's definitely clogging an IR for a while, but I'm not going to drop him. I don't think 32.9 is reflective of his true fantasy value. I do expect him to average out around 35 fantasy points per game, and that's just not someone I want to put on waivers. And then finally, we got Kyrie Irving, who I mainly picked up to try to trade. I've talked about him before. He needs to ramp up his conditioning, whatever Steve Nash is saying. I mean, I don't think he's going to be crazy because he is missing so many games, but I mean, I'm just going to take him over a waiver guy because my team's so goddamn stacked because I drafted really well that I'm not too concerned about it. I don't want to risk the chance that, who knows, maybe Kyrie decides to change his mind on the vaccine and then he gets in and he plays in all the games, but like I said, I have no idea and I just don't want to risk someone else in my league having like a huge fortune of that situation happening and then I miss out and their team becomes a little bit overpowered. I just like to keep a comfortable lead on everyone in this league, and that's sort of how I'm feeling. And then I'll quickly show you guys the waivers here in terms of what waivers look like in an 8-team. We got Marcus Smart, Schroeder, Barrett, Poole. Poole could be, I don't know, man. It's hard to say with the return of Clay how that impacts him. Then there's a few guys that you're like, those they definitely shouldn't be on waivers, but as you can see from my team, I'm not really in a position to make any long-term waiver grabs, just because the only position I have is like Saddiq Bey and Mo Bamba potentially if I can't pull off a trade for them. And I got too many guys returning from IR, so it's not going to be like a long-term ad or anything right now. I'm just sort of monitoring like day-to-day ads. I did just pick up Finney Smith the other day for a game or two, I think. Where was he? Was he down here? Well, I missed him, but I did just pick up like he was someone I streamed this week, as well as Saddiq Bey. So that was pretty much my main pickups there. And then finally, last of all, I'll just show you. This is a 12-team league I have with a few subscribers. If you want to join a league with me, then feel free to do so through the Discord. We have a leagues opening channel in there where people can sort of organize 12-team leagues, 10-team leagues, or whatever. I'm thinking about maybe organizing a league for the new year. I know it's a really late into the season, but I mean, some people don't have a competitive active league. And that is a problem with a lot of these subscriber leagues that I have made the past few years is everyone just goes inactive, which is kind of annoying because I'm just aware it's going to happen at the start of the season. I'm like, oh man, this is going to be a sick league, competitive, lots of trades and anything. And then 3 weeks into the season, everybody just stops playing. So if you are an active fantasy player and you know what you're doing, pretty competitive, then definitely feel free to join those leagues. We'll try to get something going around the new year. So stay tuned to the channel for updates on that. But as you can see, it's a keepers league, head-to-head points, 12-team. I'm 5-4, and I don't think that's really reflective as I have been getting railed by injuries again. As you can see, I had John Morant and Devin Booker, who just missed like an insane amount of time combined between the two. But I drafted, where did I draft Ja around? I drafted him 35th. I think I had around the 8th or 9th pick, I want to say. I think Paul George was my first pick, so we can see where I grabbed him at. I had the 11th pick. Okay, so yeah, pretty late into the draft there. But yeah, I got John Morant, Devin Booker. Got him. Where did I draft Devin Booker? 38th, so not too bad for where his production's at. Picked up Garrison Matthews off waivers. He just went into the protocol, so maybe I will move him. Depends on how my matchup's looking next week. Darius Baisley also went into the protocols. I'll probably look at streaming someone for him if there's anyone better on waivers, but for now I'm just going to hold them. Domantas Sabonis, got to have him in as many leagues as possible. And then the GOAT, Lou Dort. Come on, man. Put some W's up for Lou Dort. Everybody loves him. Is he the best fantasy player? Not even close. Is he one of my favorite players? Absolutely, and I am just going to take him. This league isn't as active as the other two are, so I don't really care about it as much. I still like check my lineups and try to stream as much as I can if the lineups are close, or if the matchup's close, I should say. But if it's not, then I'm just like, whatever. Harrison Barnes, production's been down. Very unfortunate from where I drafted him at the start of the season. I think I took him around 86th, which is pretty late for Harrison Barnes, but that's pretty much where he's been performing, and I was hoping he would take a little bit of a leap past that point. But it's whatever, nothing you can do. Jaren Jackson Jr., drafted him, where was it? 59th. Maybe it was a bit early for Jaren Jackson. This draft was at the start of the season, but I just wanted to take a flyer on him. Normally I wasn't too keen on him after all the injuries he's had the last season, but felt comfortable doing it this season, and so far it's paid off decently, so can't complain. Isaiah Stewart, he's been disappointing. I thought he was going to be better when Kelly Olynyk was missing time. I took him 83rd. He's been shit. That was a bad pick. Definitely not as high on Isaiah Stewart as I was at the start of the season. Is he a waiver guy? If you're in an 8-team or a 10-team, absolutely. Past that, I don't think he's a waiver player, but as you can see, I'm just sort of stuck with him for now. And then Jake Crowder, I just picked up off waivers. He's definitely going to get streamed. He just isn't very consistent for fantasy. Paul George, 4 weeks. That's just pain. Kristaps, I was hammered when I did this draft, so as you know, if you've been with the channel for a while, I always try to avoid Kristaps or always try to trade him away. Definitely wouldn't have done that had I not been off my ass. But anyway, Bojan Bogdanovic, inconsistent fantasy player, but for where I drafted him at like 118th, I was like, whatever, he's going to give 25 consistently, and that's pretty much where he's averaging. Then Tim Hardaway, we have in the protocols. He's another player that's just like a streaky scorer. I was like, probably average 25, and I drafted him 107th, so when you're in these sort of deeper team leagues like 12 and up, if they can just give you 25 and a late pick, it's whatever. You're not going to get something crazy. But then Mobley, I say that and then I contradict myself because I got him 131st, and he was probably the rookie I was the highest on outside of Cade Cunningham. The only reason I hesitated and had him not inside of like close to my top 50 is because I didn't know how him, Laurie, and Jared Allen was going to work. It was a bit of a weird situation, but he's been very surprising for fantasy, averaging around 35, but he is unfortunately in the protocols as well, so you hate to see it. But anyway, that's going to wrap it up for my fantasy teams. I mean, I could show you guys, I'll just show you guys the waivers for the 20 team just so you can see what a painful experience it is. It's really bad, bro. Like, I mean, look at this. Everybody, all the guys that are hurt. Isaiah Roby, DeAndre Jordan, Moses Brown. Like, what are we doing here? Oh, the Bucket Kuminga's on waivers. I might pick him up just for the memes, man. That's how bad the waivers are. These are guys that are rostered in like 1% of leagues max. Some guys are a bit higher, but they just don't really do anything for fantasy. So, yeah, these waivers be tough. I can't lie. But shout out all the people that are in that league with me. Love you guys. They're huge supporters of the channel. Couldn't do it without them. But that's going to do it for this video. Hope it helped you guys out. It was a bit all over the place, but I just wanted to show you guys my fantasy teams, how I'm doing. Sort of show that, I mean, I'm not winning every matchup. I'm not some fantasy expert that never loses. I lose plenty of games. I can't control injuries or who gets placed in protocols and whatnot, and I'd have some bad draft picks. Just going to say it how it is. But yeah, hopefully this helped you guys out in some way. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, I hope you all have a great rest of your day.